Craig, will you let us know when everybody's in?
Yeah, Michael, I think you can. I think you can get us underway. I think Lizo Gboka from the Bulls, I think, is hidden here, but he is on the call, and then hopefully we'll have a couple of others joining us, which yeah, I'll intro to as they hopefully come from training and team meetings. But yeah, if you want to get us underway, that's perfect.
Terrific. You know, on behalf of ROC Nation Sports International, I just want to welcome everyone. Today really represents our first ROC Nation Sports International Rugby Roundtable. Ever since we slowly got into the sport almost 3 years ago, we've been thinking about how do we integrate ourselves into the sport at a higher level, and how do we create conversations like today where we can get players and leaders in the sport together, as well as media, to share their thoughts, to share their ideas, to focus on certain areas of the business. And I'm just so happy that we were able to pull this terrific group together today. As I said, this is the first ROC Nation Sports International Rugby Roundtable, and we plan on doing this, you know, every couple of months. And hopefully throughout, you know, this upcoming rugby season, we'll have 4 or 5 of these. And today, we really want to focus on the URC. And the reason for that is obviously the tournament kicked off last year. It had a wonderful season. Season number 2 kicked off last weekend. And there was so much optimism, enthusiasm, and energy around the tournament that we thought that we would spend today, this roundtable specifically, to talk about the URC. And obviously, we've got the CEO, Martin, joining us as a special guest. We've got players from each of the South African teams that are joining us. And then, of course, you know, we have many distinguished members of the media, both from South Africa and around the UK and Europe. So again, welcome to all of you. It's wonderful to have you, and we appreciate your time. As I mentioned, the URC is coming off of an incredible season. And, you know, when last season started, I don't think anyone would have thought that the finals would be on South African soil between the Stormers and the Bulls. And Scara, once again, congratulations on winning the championship. What an incredible accomplishment in front of your home fans in Cape Town. I unfortunately was not there, but I did watch it, you know, from London, and it was a spectacular event. So congratulations to you and your teammates, the coaches, and all your fans.
Oh, thanks a lot, Mike. Yeah, really appreciate it. Yeah, it was pretty phenomenal for the guys to pull it off. Yeah, unfortunately, I fell away along the way, but yeah, I think it was pretty special for the boys to accomplish, and something that, yeah, we didn't even dream of accomplishing. And thank you to you guys as well for what you guys wanted to do. I know what you wanted to do after the final, and yeah, the boys were really excited and really appreciate it.
Terrific. I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Craig Lewis, who many of you know, all of you know, has joined ROC Nation. He heads up our comms in South Africa. I want him to formally introduce, you know, the special guests that are here today, and then we'll go through, you know, our program. Craig?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I think, as you mentioned, it's really just about, you know, opening the floor to give access to a few special guests, and you know, everyone's really busy, so it's certainly quite a challenge to get everyone you know, to agree to the same time. I know, it's like Stefan mentioned, he's in load shedding. There are people around the world at different times. So just a big thanks to everyone who could join. Of course, Beast is with us, Martin from the URC, thanks to you as well. As you've already mentioned, Scara from the Stormers, Lizo from the Bulls. Stefan, who I always say is probably one of the players who went and played in the Northern Hemisphere before it became as commonplace and popular as it is. And yeah, certainly later on, we hope to have Jordan Hendrickson joining us. You know, he at the moment is in Wales. He was rushing back from the training field to hopefully join us, and Apelele Fassi as well, he's in Italy with the Sharks, and he's got a team meeting on the go now, so he's trying to sneak out to join us. But hopefully later on when you open it for Q&A to the media, he'll be here. So yeah, I think over to you, Beast, if you want to just keep the ball rolling.
No, thanks, Craig and Michael. Hello to everyone on the call. It's nice to see some familiar faces. And I think on my end, I can attest to the fact that it's been a great move up north for South African teams. I played for a very long time in Super Rugby. Got to amass so many games and ended up becoming the most cared player, in that competition. But I do remember that, there were so many challenges, when it came to Super Rugby, that obviously the travel to Australia and New Zealand, it was quite difficult. And also playing in different time zones, you had to try and combat jet lag when you got there. And it was not always the easiest thing, it would take you a couple of days to acclimatize, it was pretty difficult. And also the style of rugby that, the Kiwis and the Aussies play, I don't think it probably suits the South African style of rugby. So, you just have to look at the history of Super Rugby, and just try and look for the winners, at the end of probably how many competitions were there, probably 20 or so. And there's only probably 3 times that you see a South African team, and that was only at the Bulls, the Sharks came close, but, it was always difficult for South African teams to win that competition. But this move up north, has kind of really been a revelation for South African teams, to be able to now travel in the same time zone, and play in the UK, probably, a place where we love to play rugby. I was obviously part of many, end of year tours. It's a great place to play rugby. The climate is obviously sometimes a challenge, the weather, but everything else, the elements just suits us. So I think, it's been a great change. The style of rugby that's being played up north, it suits us, the physicality, the way set piece plays a key role, in team play, and also the advantage line and the gain line. And I'm getting very technical, but, those key, aspects of the game really suit us well. And, it gives us ascendancy and good dominance. So as you can see, obviously the Stormers now, came at the top right at the end. So it's just a good, a good change, going forward for South African rugby in general. So I'm really positive as an ex-player. One of the things that I regret is that I never had the chance to play in the URC. I would have relished, that opportunity, because I think it's an outstanding tournament. What Martin and you, Michael, and ROC Nation, what you guys have done is really incredible. I think all parties involved, administrators, the players, the coaches, management, they have all thoroughly enjoyed this experience. So I'm looking forward to, another blockbuster season upcoming. And I believe South African teams are going to grow from strength to strength. And I'm looking specifically, obviously, at the Sharks. I'm a bit biased because, I'm a Sharks man through and through. So, I believe that, the investment that the owners have made in bolstering the squad, is really going to kind of set the scene for a big season, But obviously, a lot of things have to still go right for us to come away at the top. But I'm looking forward to, an incredible season ahead with South African teams all playing in the playoffs, hopefully. So I would love to pass it on to Martin, the CEO of URC. And firstly, welcome to you, Martin. It's great to have you amongst us. Could you please share, how you think this competition keep on going, from strength to strength, after such an incredible first season?
Yeah, thanks, Beast, and thank you also to Michael and ROC Nation for inviting us on today. It's this is exactly what we need to do more of in the game, and I think access is something that's talked about a lot. So really appreciate Michael and the team for putting this on, and great to see players from each of the South African teams here as well. And I know the 2 others are coming and joining from their training camps, and thank you, Beast, for that intro. Yeah, it's I mean, an incredible first season, right? And I think we're still coming off the high of that Cape Town final, and to have Stormers win it in their hometown against a really, really good Bulls side who, to be honest, did something that not many people thought they would do, certainly not the bookies, and that was to beat Leinster in Dublin. So just some incredible performances throughout the year. And I think that's turned into something that we had hoped it to be, but we never knew that it would be, right? Which is this super competitive competition where the Americans, and forgive me, Michael, I believe this is an NFL phrase, but any given Sunday, one team can beat another team. And that's really the sort of basis upon which we built United Rugby Championship. We wanted it to be on jeopardy, to be at the heart of it. And so we concentrated on bring as good teams as we possibly could do, and what better teams than the 4 very best in South Africa. So you guys turned up, showed up, and did the business in the final. So it's been an exceptional year. I think as a result of that, on the field, off the field, we've had some tremendous successes. We almost tripled our record ever broadcast audience. So going from sort of 12 million record up to 35 million in a season is sort of spectacular. A lot of that is down to the fantastic media we've got in South Africa and SuperSport, but also, the appeal that the league has worldwide now, and including in our markets in the UK and Ireland and Italy. The final was watched by over 1.25 million people. 40% of that number was outside of South Africa. So between two teams in South Africa, 40% of that audience was outside South Africa. It's really pleasing kind of numbers, because that shows you the relevance the teams in South Africa have elsewhere. And that again, for us, is a really, really key metric. We had almost 3 million people watch one of our rounds. Again, we're a young league, only 20 years old. So we want to keep improving. We want to keep bettering ourselves. But when you see some of these statistics and data points, you're thinking, we're going in the right direction. There's some really lovely statistics as well, which show the power of what the relationship we've struck with Michael and ROC Nation to create content for us, which is reaching a new audience based using players and your stories and the players' stories. We've done some exceptional bits of content with ROC Nation, and that's translated to our social media growth is up 77% in the year, right? Just really, really great data points, which we track to show progress. Commercially, we've become more robust. We've added sponsors into the portfolio. So we really think we're going in the right direction. And now, we've already had round 1, really looking forward to URC season 2 and what that will bring. And the extra challenge that you guys are going to have, which you've not had before, which is going to be the Champions Cup rugby, which is, another level, right? And I don't mean that in a derogatory term to URC. It's just another level. You're going to suddenly have to play against the best French and English teams, and they're going to be pumped up to come down to South Africa. So, there's a lot to look forward to in the year ahead, but what a first year.
Amazing. Craig, is Stefan with us still? Or I think I saw him, unfortunately, drop off.
Yeah, I think he's fallen victim to load shedding. So Beast, if you maybe want to just hand over to Lizo, then hopefully Stefan joins us. If not, he'll definitely be on the next one.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Craig. So Lizo, it's wonderful to see you. Are you there, Lizo?
Yeah, Beastie, I'm here. Good evening, gentlemen, and thank you so much for having me here tonight. It's a massive honor. I am in a fitting room at a Puma store in Mall of Africa.
You're getting those
I was not going to make it home on time because of the traffic.
No, it's good. It's good. You have to spoil yourself, Lizo. It's wonderful to see you. And how's been the journey from your injury? I know you were injured, and now you've been rehabilitating, and obviously there's been a lot of excitement in the Bulls camp. You guys did so well last season. You were runners up. There's a lot of positives, and also with now Coach Jake signing for another 5 years. So, you know, you guys have kind of been set in the way. So what is some of the stuff we can look forward to this upcoming season?
Yeah, it's really exciting. You know, it's been an amazing journey so far. I mean, we grew a lot, and joining URC, no one would have thought that we'll have a South African final in South Africa. You know, and that was just awesome. You know, I would say I love it. You know, I think it was a great option to join the URC. I mean, our supporters, you know, that don't have to wake up early in the mornings to watch us, and you know, for us who are married as well, the families, because when you're in New Zealand, back when we played Super Rugby, you had a small window to talk to your family. Literally, when you wake up, they're sleeping, you know, and that's tough, you know, because you can't just talk to them anytime you want to. Whereas now with the URC, it's almost the same time zones. You can talk to your family anytime, you know, which is awesome. And, you know, I mean, people that are watching, we just heard the numbers now. It's on our first year, and I believe it's definitely going to grow. It's just amazing. At the Bulls, Jake is, as you worked with him, you know, he loves, I think he's working on getting us depth, because now we're going to play maybe 2 or 3 competitions with the Currie Cup at the same time, you know, so you need depth, you know, but we're excited because we have a lot of good youngsters. We won all the under 20 things last year and this year. So for under 20s is pretty good. And good start over the weekend as well, away from home. You know, I know there's a lot of things to work on, but not as good start. You know, yeah. But I'll say the challenges for me, if I can point out one, because I fell on the bed on tour. I think for 2 weeks on tour, I was sleeping on the floor because the beds were too small. You know. And I actually fell once, so I just put the mattress down. Me and my roommate, Sydney Tobias, we were just sleeping on the floor, you know, for 2 weeks, you know. But I think, you know, that was the only thing. And obviously, sometimes flying economy class is also a bit challenging, and, you know, in terms of recovery as well. But other than that, great competition, and the different conditions we played in were amazing. You know, those are the challenges that we were positive about. We wanted to test ourselves in different conditions, you know, where we played, when we played Connacht, you know, the wind was blowing just a little bit first half, and the second half, it was just, you know, blowing 40, 60 kilometers per hour. So those changes and those challenges, you know, we embraced them and we were positive about them. Yeah. In terms of the injuries, just last one, Beastie, recovering well, and most importantly, I'm in a good space mentally, you know, just making sure that I'm working hard and come back and, you know, be better than I was before. And I'm very excited.
No, good to hear, Lisa. No, thank you for those insights. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to seeing you, you know, play more, and yeah, I know you're going to stay injury free. Yeah, we definitely believe in that, brother. I can't wait to see you as well put on that Bog jersey. You know, they don't call it G-Bog for no reason. No, good to see you, bro.
So
sorry, Beastie, thank you. Sorry, Beastie, you said you would have loved to play URC. It's never too late. I mean, we have Bismarck and Morne still playing.
listen, I must tell you, I took a Beast boxing last week in London, and there's no question he's in shape. So Beast, if you want to come out of retirement and help the Sharks, by all means, let's go. You can do it.
Okay, I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna need some time to, like, you know, really get my psyche. You know, the media's on. You know, they're on the course, so you know they're gonna go and write about this afterwards.
Come on, Beast. So as we move along, and Scar, I'm going to come back to you, my brother. Obviously, it was disappointing because of your injury last season, but you're coming to the end of your rehab. First and foremost, how are you feeling? And then tell us a little bit about, the expectations. How do you top last season?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I think getting there with the injury, I think I'm ahead of schedule, but I had a bit of a hiccup I had to have a small procedure done. So I'm just waiting for that. And then hopefully in the next week or two, I'll be running, because the Achilles is feeling quite good now, and the doctors and physios are pretty happy. And I think it's been for the Stormers, it's been quite a roller coaster, past 2 years, if I could put it that way. And I think you would attest to that as well, Mike, knowing what was happening inside, there with us. And so I think in a way, those hardships were I think they were in a way good for us. In terms of like going through COVID, it really brought the team together. We got to understand each other. We got to, learn from each other. I think the coaches, John, and some of the other coaches, went to every single player in the squad. And I think that and got to see everyone's background and got to know certain things about different players, and got to know like small things like why a certain player was late for training, because maybe they gave their car to their dad because they lost their jobs in lockdown. So I think that aspect brought the squad together. And I think, being honest, even John Dobson didn't believe like we would have gone this far in the URC, but I think there was you can't name one thing, but I think a lot of different elements added to like the story and how the season and the mindset and the belief changed. And I think even if you look at, I think Martin spoke about it, about the bookies. I think now it's going to be a massive challenge, having like a target on ourselves. But I think what the coaches have done is that we've tried to forget about it, and not rest on our morals. And we've really tried. We've got a lot of obstacles to in front of us, like in the near future, in terms of if you look at our team now, we've got a lot of Springboks that are away. We've got a few injuries. We're going to be playing some international teams with international players. So, this past season yes, fine, we won, but I think everyone's already accepted that it's done and we've had our party, and that we need to work hard. And like, I think we're going to have a target on our backs, and I think people are going to come a lot harder than they did, in the past. So I think it's like a player having a good season the first year. It's tough to do it again the second year. So I think from our side, the Stormers, I think we are pretty excited, nervous at times, because there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of off-field stuff as well that we're dealing with. But we're excited, and the guys are working really hard. We've got a few surprising youngsters, some young talent, and a nice mixture with the older guys. And we're excited to get the box back and some of the guys who come back and join us from injury.
That's terrific. I was impressed watching you guys last year. I think that there was a lot of belief amongst the players, and you guys played as not only a team, but as a family. You played for each other. And I spoke to Coach Dobson quite a bit throughout the season. And to your point, I think he was just amazed from week to week, in terms of what you guys were accomplishing. And I think that, that held true all the way up to the final. And even after winning the final, you came out of nowhere, to have a magical season. But now, I love the attitude that you've put that behind you, and you've put it in its place. And now you're starting over again. You got to prove yourselves over again. And I think that's the right attitude for any championship club in any sport. Scara, the URC had such a great year. And, obviously year 2 is going to be magnificent. You have an opportunity to meet, the CEO on this Zoom, is there anything that you experienced? Is there anything that you would share that you'd like to see the URC consider moving forward or change moving forward?
I don't think anything that can be in his power, as per se, at the moment. But I would think, I think it's more of a universal sort of issues in terms of having like a international sort of season. I think the URC would be, you could measure it a lot more better if you had the same sort of the best of the best from each country at the same times, if you know what I mean. Because I think this past URC was a sort of a URC of two parts. There was a first half and a second half, and like we playing Connacht this weekend. We have to beat Connacht because we're at home. But then again, we don't have a lot of players, so that sort of thing. But besides that, I think it's an amazing competition. It's just, I think, who can adapt the best. Going up north for us is tough, in terms of weather, in terms of, it's easier travel for us, much easier. But I think coming down for them as well is tough. So I think it's just the team or the guys who can adapt the best. And there's no one who has a lot of experience, There's not a lot of English guys who have played, except for the guys who have played a handful of internationals in South Africa. So I think that's pretty exciting as well. But I think it would be a lot better if we could, with Ulster playing us. I mean, was it Ulster? Yeah, they were missing like half of their team, So it does make a difference, and it feels like sometimes another team has to send a second string side, or I don't know. I know it's a tough thing to juggle because the year is fully booked. But yeah, it's just something I was just thinking about.
No, it's a good point, Michael. I think, and Scara, thanks for that. I think it's good. I'm trying to. I love these sessions. I love talking to the players about it, because sometimes you don't get that access that Michael affords as today. We don't talk enough, I think, to the players and get the players' viewpoint. So it's there's nothing better than hearing that directly from you, quite honestly, and that it helps us inform conversations we're having elsewhere, because we've been pretty vocal that rugby, the calendar can be better. Certainly from how the internationals don't try not to at least overlap with it with club rugby. We're getting there in the Northern Hemisphere, and we try not to play during Six Nations weekends. We try not to play during the November tests. But of course, when the Rugby Championship is at the start of the season for us, then there's a misalignment. So I'd love at some point to be able to align those seasons up at the very least. We don't get this sort of mismatch of overlaps. That would be a great start for us, and I think we'd then get a much better competition, even better competition than one we've got today. Yeah. Ultimately, also, I think overall, and this requires everybody in the world game, we could all play slightly less rugby, I think, as a number of games, and try and increase the quality over quantity of games. So I'm with you. I think, if we can get to the point where we've got matchups, direct matchups, international players versus international players, that's the sort of holy grail. And I'm with you on that.
I agree. Scara, I agree with you. I agree with Martin, obviously. And it's something Martin and I have talked about a lot, right? The whole scheduling and how do you make sure that, when you're watching a URC match and you're watching, your club as an example, that you always get to watch the best players on your team, because quite frankly, that's what the fans want to see, right? The fans want to come and support the stars, the best players. To take your point, they don't want to see the B team. They want to see the A team. And that consistency is really important. And listen, coming from America and being involved in so many sports on that side of the world, that's what you're used to seeing, right? There's no conflict between, international duties and your club duties. Your club is front and center. And that is, you know, a responsibility, and that is, you know, something that you take very, very seriously. So I'm sure with leaders like Martin, we're going to be able to solve this problem in the midterm at least. Beast, I'm going to throw to you because I just saw that we've got another special guest that just joined us right from training. And I just want to say a quick hello to Fassi. How are you, my brother? Good to have you, and thank you for joining us. And Beast, I'm going to throw it to you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Michael, for welcome.
Hey, Apelele, it's good to see you. Mr. Weekend Special. How
Good
you
to
doing?
see you, Beast. Now, all good, all good. Can't complain. I think Italy's served us good.
No, fantastic. I've been seeing the posts on Instagram. You guys are like, you know, showcasing Italy. I wish I was there. I'm drooling when I look at those Insta posts, you know. It's, you look like
It's
you
quite
have a
nice,
great time.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
wonderful. That's wonderful. But so how are you feeling, you know, ahead of the season now? I know you guys have been working really hard, and I've made a few turns at the stadium, and I see you were busy with preseason, you know, putting in the hard yards. You obviously have had the addition, you know, of some new players, some big names to the squad.
Yep.
You know, first to get those guys settled in, yeah, what are your insights on you know, what the Sharks are all about, you know, this upcoming season?
Yeah, I think, you know, obviously with the new signings that we've got, we pretty much obviously excited to welcome them into obviously our jersey. And yeah, for the new season, we're pretty much excited. You know, getting knocked out in the quarterfinals was quite a bummer for us. So I think this season we've set new goals. You know, we had a long preseason, and we've chatted about the achievements that we want to achieve. And yeah, I guess it all started in preseason and what we want to achieve. And luckily, Friday we have an opportunity to start working on our goals and what we want to achieve this season. So, you know, I think the team is pretty much excited for this new season. You know, I can feel the buzz in the team, in the camp here in Italy, obviously with the guys that are at the Springboks as well, you know, just like being able to communicate with them and them having an insight of what is going on here is pretty much important. So I think the team is buzzing very well for this upcoming season.
No, that's wonderful, Fassi. I think, you know, I can also attest to the fact that, you know, even the ownership group for the Sharks, you know, they've been investing in the franchise in a big way. So I'm sure that, you know, those rewards are going to be reaped soon. You know, no pressure. You know, just go out there and enjoy yourself. You know, be yourself. You know, have fun.
100%. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm excited for a big season for the Sharks.
Yeah.
Apelele, listen, again, it's good to see you. I may be making a trip to Parma on Friday, so I'll let you know.
Okay.
But and I'm going to make you buy me dinner after the match. But listen, how you know, obviously last year was your first year in the URC, and you're preparing for the second year. Martin, the CEO of the URC, has joined us as a special guest today. You know, some of the other players that are on the Zoom have made some points about what they'd like to see from the URC moving forward. It was a great first season. It's going to be even a better second season and tournament. But any insights that you can provide, Martin, because these types of Zooms, you know, help us all get better, right? And we provide access to the media, but at the same time, we're talking about a very important tournament that's growing, that's still very young. And as a leader, you know, having worked with Martin, one of the things that really has impressed me is the fact that he's so open to suggestions and feedback. So do you have any feedback for him today?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, no, I think obviously the first season was obviously a cluster in a sense of, you know, we like the team traveled for 8 weeks and played and toured. Then obviously it was vice versa for the other teams. I think there's not much suggestions that I can bring up for the upcoming season. You know, yeah, like you said, I think the one thing would be obviously just trying to fit in a schedule for trying to play your best team each and every week. and not having an international season where while the regular international competition is going through at the same time.
Terrific. That's good insight. I see that we have another of our special guests that just joined us from training. Jordan, how are you, my brother?
Good, and you, Michael? Can't complain.
I'm good. I'm good. First of all, welcome to the Zoom, and we appreciate you jumping on, coming right out of training. We'll jump right into this. But last year, obviously, your first year, you had the injury in the beginning, but you really came on strong in the second half of the season, and it turned out to be a great season for you.
Yeah.
You started the URC last weekend. Tell us what you're thinking. Tell us what the mindset of the team is, and give us some of your thoughts on the URC.
Firstly, from a team point of view, of course, we struggled, all South African teams struggled quite a bit, in terms of the start of URC, in terms of us traveling immediately and, just adapting to conditions, pitches, weather, and all that. But then later on, for the Lions, we came along well, having a young side, starting to adapt and being at home again, being back in your home, in terms of your city, your fans, that was a nice thing, and having fans back. And, us just eventually losing out on playoffs. But I would say the vibe for the URC now is exciting. It's just tough from a Joburg point of view, to get fans back, because the situation in terms of the location's not the best. But our vibe now is definitely positive, not getting the result we wanted last week, but it's definitely positive, and it's something we, building towards, with young players, and, not like other franchises having, so many international players away. So that's a positive for us, in terms of that. I would say that's our vibe, just, being consistent and building on, and just having that building phase and, continuing that, and, to a perfection or a perfect game at the end of the day.
That's amazing. I sense from all of you, all the players who are on the Zoom, that you just have a lot of passion for the URC. It's important to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you want to perform at your best. And when you're in a tournament like this, that's what we all want to see, right? We want to see players caring about it, being passionate about it, being committed about it, making it a big part of their life. And I can sense that from all of you. Martin, I have to think from your perspective, just to feel the passion and the importance that the URC has in the lives of these incredible athletes, players, and men is something that is special for you.
Yeah, like we have a very sort of important phrase, and we try not to make it just a marketing slogan. We try and live by it, which is change the game. And what I'm seeing in front of me, and the voices, and Jordan and Feli, you guys, you've changed the game. You're already changing the game. You're playing in a North-South hemisphere competition. You've won it in the first year as South African franchises. It's never not had an Irish team in the final, and you guys did that. So, I think for me, you've already been successful, and what I love to hear is actually you want it to be better. So do we. We aren't stopped. This isn't the final destination. We need to make this competition better and better and better. And we're a young competition. We're still growing, and that's why these sessions are really important to listen from you guys. We want the URC to be as much South African as it is Irish or Welsh or Scottish or Italian. You haven't just joined our competition. You are our competition. And that's a really, really important point, because in future, in the very near future, you guys will be playing against the English sides and the French sides. And, sometimes some people in the room, they think that's the European competition. This is the Champions Cup. This is the pinnacle, right, of the club game. It is as close as you're going to get, unless you're an international player, to international rugby. And on its day, in my opinion, it's even better when you're hearing the Irish sing against the French and a full house at the Viva Stadium in Dublin, it could well be an international game, right? So that's what we've got in our competition. That's what you're going to see in European or Champions Cup competition. That's what's so exciting. And the diversity of what we bring as a competition through you guys to what we had already, who wins from that? The box, as far as I'm concerned. The Irish national team, they win. They're beating New Zealand for the first time or in a very long time down in New Zealand. And that's, I hope, part of the method that you've got in Razzie Erasmus and the setup at the box. They had this vision. He worked in Munster. He knew what it was like. And I think you could see that if you guys, were playing against our European teams on a regular basis, but also playing rugby championship, you'd have the best of both worlds. So, I really appreciate all your feedback. It's really important to me.
It's amazing. Hey, Craig, I think it would be great to open it up to the media and just see if there's questions, for all of our special guests. I know we've taken a lot of time, but if we can get a couple of questions, I think that would be terrific.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've lost a couple to load shedding. Even me, I'm sitting in the darkness here, as you can see. Let's just obviously be mindful of time, and but really we just wanted to grant as much access to all our special guests. So thanks as well to everyone who's joined, especially Jordan and Apalele running from training and team meetings. Jan and Marcus, see you have hands up, so fire away. Jan, maybe if you want to go first.
Thank you, Craig. Jan de Koning, Rugby 365. Michael, we've met before in Cape Town. Martin, I think I'll fire my first question to you. I mean, you touched basically on the highs that you had with the nice views that you had on TV audiences and stuff that you've had. My question is, what do you think would be your biggest disappointment from season one? And what would be the thing, and we've also touched on the global season, what would be the things that you would look at to take this competition to another level?
Yeah, first of all, I'm going to apologize because my kids, it's dinner time. That normally means they're about to go screaming. So if they scream, it's not me or my wife, it's my kids. It is literally the witching hour, isn't it? So you might hear that in the background. Yeah, look, I think we are I wouldn't say we're perfectionists. We want our competition to be the very, very best it can be. And occasionally what you get, the guys have raised it, occasionally what you get when you've got a club season where you've got a lot of games and when you've got an international calendar that is not quite matched up to one another, you get a season of two halves. Scarrow, was that yourself who was saying that? So you got that season of two halves. And I think that's what we really had in season one. We hope that we don't see that in season two, because obviously in season one, we also had the Omicron outbreak and had to reschedule games into the Six Nations, which we don't want to do. We want to not play on international weekends. So I think in terms of something that could have gone better last year, it is really that what we wanted. We were getting mismatches quite often in the first half of the season, and we had the second half of the season. It wasn't consistency throughout the course of the season. I think the other thing we had last season was, and this obviously came through a lot of the feedback I got from the non-South African teams, is at the same time as trying to take on the very best teams in South Africa, they're also having to play Champions Cup and Challenge Cup rugby. Now everybody's in the same boat. We're all playing Champions Cup and Challenge Cup rugby. So I think this is going to be the season we hope it to be, in terms of it's going to have that consistency. We're not going to be playing cross international weekends. And hopefully we've got that, that added challenge for everybody, which is how do you compete in the Champions Cup and Challenge Cup at the same time as ULC? But that goes also to that global season discussion. I think we can get to a better season. I really do. I think from a player point of view, from a coach's point of view, even from referees' point of view, the whole competition is better where you don't have a club competition playing at the same time as an international competition. The whole thing is better. The media can concentrate on one competition, not multiple competitions. Ideal scenario for us would be a bit more a linear approach to it. So you're building towards your international. I think there are some great concepts out there to try and make the international game hang together a wee bit more. They're talking about creating kind of Nations Cup and League. That seems to me like a good idea, because then every game has meaning. We're talking about how do we progress URC with the Champions Cup, and talking potentially about a world Champions Cup for club rugby as well in the future. So trying to keep being ambitious and keep moving forward. That's the main aim. But yes, we're not perfect. We know that. But as I say, I think it's a pretty good first season, but season 2 can be way better.
Go for it, Mark.
Yeah, question. Mark Greenaway from Independent Media in Durban. How's it, Beast? A question for Mark. Martin, did you sort of allow yourself a little bit of a smile and a pat on the back when you see youngsters like Kurtley Aronson and Kanan Moody prospering for the Springboks? Does that sort of confirm the potential of the URC to unlock talent for the international stage?
Yeah. Sorry, that was directed at me. Yes, that was one of my favorite things throughout the whole process. Is that I think I knew a fair amount about Springbok rugby and about South African rugby. Our chief operating officer, Charles Kraus, was effectively the CEO at the Southern Kings. So we brought him in. We love him dearly. He taught us a lot about South African rugby. But boy, do we not know how good the depth was in South Africa, because until you really compete against the teams that you know inside out and day in, day out, you guys have unbelievable depth right the way through South African rugby. And so I think that's something that probably caught a lot of people up north off guard. But second season, who said it again? One of the guys said it, now your card's marked. Second season, now people know how good the talent is. And if someone drops out, someone even better drops in. That's how it feels, at least. So, it must be tough being a South African rugby player, because if you step out, somebody else is coming into your spot. And but we like that as a league, because it means you've constantly got great players coming through the system.
Cheers, thanks.
Over to you, Pat.
Thank you. Hello, everybody, and hello, Beast, as well. Good to see you again. Just one for the players, I suppose. Like we've noticed, like we have a show up this part of the world in the UK and Ireland, House of Rugby, and we noticed that when the South African sides were getting into the knockout stages, like our numbers were going through the roof as well. Like and the interaction was so amazing, and it's like we kind of knew it already, but it was a real experience of just how crazy and insane the South African rugby fans are, like, and how it's such a big part of it. So just if any of the players or Beast or anything like that, just to kind of speak about that kind of passion for rugby down your way, because it is something that's kind of it's blown us away as well.
Okay, I will go first before the players. Yeah, I think, in South Africa, rugby is somewhat of a religion, I think everybody, probably in most families, you probably plays rugby, both, female and male. So it's a big part of, most households in South Africa. And, rugby plays a pivotal role in our society in terms of giving hope and inspiring people for the better. So that's why, you see that passion, coming through, the stadiums, with the fans. It's like, they'll probably want to also come onto the pitch, and put in their 2 cents, just like the players. So, rugby means a great deal to us. And, and I think, what Martin said now about the depth that's in South Africa, it's incredible, because when one player doesn't perform, the other one steps in and does even better. So, it kind of promotes a lot of competition, which is great for the game. So what you're seeing there is kind of the full picture of what rugby means to the average South African.
And
oh yeah, go on. Go, Pat.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, if the players said anything about that, like what it kind of means to the guys down there.
Yeah, I'll add. For me, it's personally a culture. Like we see, it's a culture of inspiring the youth and youngsters growing up, in smaller communities, because there's lots of talent in South Africa, but it's hard to see, that talent move into a professional setup, due to, certain reasons why. And, just the sport just brings that culture in terms of, yes, yeah, I look up to this player. I want to be like that player. And, that's why kids, fans, people come out, with this passion to, come look at their heroes and their stars and the, players they look up to. And that inspires them to do better and, to, do something in the community. Because if one player did it that, also came from a certain background, that means I can also do it. So it means a lot for, households and, youngsters out there.
Perfect. And then just my last question then was going to be about just any kind of the players again, like a good away day story. Like what's the best away experience you've had kind of coming up kind of Europe way? I heard about the Stormers guys just hitting McDonald's a couple of nights in a row, kind of getting classy cuisine like that. But yeah, any good kind of or standout stories from being away up in Europe?
Hey, Foster, do you have any stories for us?
Yeah, I think for me it's just
you're a naughty boy, so you should have stories.
Nah, not at I think yeah, just being able to adapt to the obviously at times like to the conditions. I think one of my favorite is obviously Wales, just being in Cardiff. Lovely weather all the time, and just yeah, the hospitality there is fantastic.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Do you want to elaborate on hospitality? Francis? Do you want to
food, you food.
No, hey, Beast, I think you should leave it at that, okay? Just leave it at that. Time out. Craig, any other questions for us?
Yeah, I think Jan, did you have another one? And then maybe we'll look to wrap up after that, unless there's anything else pressing.
Yeah, Craig, sorry. I just want to have a follow-up based on what Bet said. Again, to Martin. Martin, you touched on the viewership earlier. Do you think what we see in Super Rugby at the moment and South Africa's move north has had this impact that you brought this interest, this passion, because the players talk about the passion and this culture for rugby in South Africa? That entire shift, that weight of viewership has shifted away from
He's
Jan,
dropped off there.
Jan, your signal's a bit it's a bit bad at the moment.
I think he's having load shedding as well.
Load shedding.
We're all suffering, yeah.
He's got load shedding. Well, Craig, listen, let me, if I can, just jump in and maybe, we've been here for almost an hour now, but I just want to, on behalf of ROC Nation Sports International, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank our special players that are here today, our guests. Martin, thank you so much for joining us. Beast, thank you for your time as well. And when I see this Zoom tonight or this afternoon, this is the future of rugby. Communicating, access, working with each other to come up with solutions and suggestions, to make this wonderful and beautiful game even better. So I just want to thank everyone for your contributions and your thoughts, your suggestions. I know it's been valuable to me. I think I can speak on behalf of Martin. He probably walks away today having some great thoughts and ideas, having heard from 4 wonderful players and you, Beast, as well. So we're going to do this more often. We're going to provide the media with more access, and collaboration is what it's all about. So again, thank you on behalf of ROC Nation. And I want to wish all of our players just a wonderful URC season. Stay healthy, win, enjoy, have fun, and go for that trophy. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Fantastic.